And last but certainly not least, Vera Brandes, who the star of the show. All right, we're going to do I'm going to ask a question, maybe or two, to each of the people, and then we'll have a chance for you guys to ask questions. Let me start at the end with Ido. Just tell us a little bit about the genesis for this film. When did you learn Vera's story, and at what point did you realize this is the movie? The movie is more about the scaffolding and the scaffold builder than it is about the artist.
Thanks so much for coming. It's so nice to finally screen this film where I live, where I wrote this. So far away from Cologne, but like it's so nice to finally, like we've been traveling with this film since February, and it's nice to be finally here. Thanks for watching. I read the story in the magazine piece, and I thought, oh my God, this tells me something that I already know as a filmmaker, because every time you make a film, or you paint a painting, or you do a theater piece, or anything, you meet a broken piano, right? Broken piano are a part of every artistic process. And the way that you are measured is how you play on this broken instrument. And here was a great story that told something about music, not in the regular way. Because, you know, we have so many music films nowadays, but they all tell kind of the same story. But to tell the story of someone who was behind the scenes, to put the spotlight on her, I thought, wow, that's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, how wonderful. Mala, it seems like you had this great opportunity, but maybe it's a little bit of a challenge or intimidating as well, that you were playing somebody who was very much with us, very much still here. And tell me, or tell us a little bit about how you worked to create this character, how much and how you worked with Vera to kind of make this woman come alive.
I mean, she is very much alive, like probably more alive than we all ever gonna be. But there are different steps. In the beginning, it was just this wonderful script that Ido wrote, and here I have to mention, it's your story, but also it's like Ido who put this character into words. And just to give an example, he wrote, and on the first page, you normally have written written by Ido Fluk, but he wrote improvised into words by Ido Fluk. Bam, you know? And there, you open the script differently, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna enter here a job or a character who's gonna be different than every character I played before. And then Ido and we prepared, even though we didn't know if the movie is gonna be financed or not, but we risked it, and we didn't earn any money, but we said, this movie needs this energy of and this attitude of we anyways gonna do it, not knowing if it's gonna work or not. So we watched films together, we discussed, we changed the script, la 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 la. And then at some point, we knew it would happen, and I contacted Vera. I was so nervous because I played characters that exist, but they were dead. And I can't explain you how crazy it is to look in someone's eyes and know these same eyes have seen what I'm going to pretend to see. And that's just crazy and magic, and every time I look in your eyes, I'm like, oh, she's there. Yeah, and then it's a journey of observation, of many conversations, lots of dinners and lunches and walks and laughs and tears, and there was an open book. And to wrap this up, the most important step was to let everything go, like Jarrett did, like Ido did when he wrote the script, because they too, and I'm thankful forever that you both allowed me that, they said, Mala, don't do it right. don't copy Vera Brandes, but just step in the void and not know what's going to happen. And that did something I didn't know what I do. And I'm very grateful that I had this experience.
Wow. Vera, tell us if you would what you told me about, first of all, your admiration for Mala's performance. And by the way, what an amazing performance. I mean, really fabulous. Wow.
By the way, Mala was just awarded a few days ago being Germany's best actress.
Yes.
Performer.
Wow. But tell people what you told me, other than your admiration, and that is about how Mala was. You said she was like you, but a little bit more.
Absolutely more charming than I ever was. And I mean, this is like, a version of myself standing next to me, which tells me how beautifully it could have gone if I would have known what the outcome was. Of course I didn't. Which, makes all the difference. I was scared shit, and I think she was also scared shit, but for other reasons.
Right.
And it's just really magic because I'm trying to maintain the original memory because the film tells the story in such a beautiful way that it's really overlapping. But most of what you saw is really exactly how it happened.
Yes, exactly. I think Ido was talking about how important it was to get those, to have the essential truth there. Tell us a little bit, I mean, throughout the film, you are not only a teenager, God help us, trying to put on this very big event, but you're a woman in what was a man's world, and it seems like the film emphasizes, and talk a little bit about what it was like for you, not only through that period, but through your very distinguished career afterwards, to be a woman in a man's world, which jazz certainly was then, maybe still is.
Well, I mean, when I began and I had to have these official meetings, with these official people from these institutions, I was wearing rather big glasses. I had my mother's coats on, because they were like really, great coats, and nobody had ever asked me how old are you. That is, I think the most surprising thing. They just, I managed to come across as being really serious about what I was doing. I think the film shows this very good, how I did that. And
in the film, everybody asks you how old you are.
And I really had no idea how hostile that environment could be, and it truly was at many occasions. And I was told outright, what do you want? You're a woman. So thanks God I never allowed this to discourage me.
Well, not only that, and it seems like in some ways it inspired you. I mean, as the film shows, your relationship with your father, you didn't want to fail. Excuse me. It seems like some of that skepticism actually inspired you to be what you were and to not fail in what you were doing.
Well, I can only say that, this gender thing, I just didn't take it serious. Okay, I thought this was completely ridiculous. What I was looking at was primarily men, only men, that were in the business, and I saw how they were doing things, and I thought, gee, I can do that better. It was, yeah. It was like, I basically, my motivation was to prove that it could be done in a better way. And that is, I think, what still drives me today.
Great, good for you. One more question, because Michael isn't with us. Michael was with us last night. Michael playing Michael in the film.
Michael Cherneth.
That's right, Michael Chernin.
the journalist.
The journalist. Talk a little bit, because the one part of the film that is an invention is Michael, and talk a little bit about when you decided you wanted to have this other character in there, both as a narrator and also, as we talked a little bit about last night, like sort of a proxy for the audience trying to figure out Keith Jarrett. But talk about how you came
I'm
about.
going to talk about something slightly different, because I feel like what maybe people will want to hear is that I wrote this film like a musician is improvising. I didn't do any preparation in terms of like treatment or beat sheet or like all the outlines we do when we usually write a film. So this film is improvised. I went to write a script that felt like a piece of music and embraced every mistake that I made. Because you know, when a musician plays the wrong note on a scale, and then they rearrange the music to then make that mistake the most interesting and important piece of the music. And so I never made the decision. It just came out. I needed someone to educate us about why Keith is doing something that is insanely difficult, and I think no one understands how difficult it is until you really get down into the process of how he does it, and how he does it every other night, and how it has to be good enough to go on a record. And yeah, I put someone in the car because I needed that conversation. And also to have fun with it, you know, to not like be so serious, because jazz is such a serious thing a lot of the times. But like I didn't want to take it too seriously, because you know, it's a joyful movie.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to open it up to some questions here. Sir, in the middle there, in brown jacket.
Vera, I've admired your story for years, and it's so good to see you in person and get to know you. Did you have a reckoning or reckonings with your father as portrayed in the film? And if you have you been able to forgive him?
Oh yeah, it was an up and down in the relationship. My father had been in World War II at the age of 14. I think he had a just completely different relationship to physical violence than the ones that have grown up without that background. So of course I forgive him, but gee, it wasn't easy to be his daughter.
Sir, right in the third row there.
Yes, I really enjoyed the film. Congratulations. I hope more people are able to see it. I have two questions. Number one, how many days did it take to shoot? Number two, what were your differences?
How many nights?
Okay, you want to get down to business. I think we shot for like 31 days. And I think, you know, my biggest influence for this film was 24-Hour Party People. Great kind of exploration of the hacienda scene in the UK. Happy Mondays, like all of that. If you haven't watched it, it's a great film. And then, you know, it was about finding the 70s in a way that wasn't like as sparse as Fassbinder, but also not like to fetishize it like a lot of like new 70s cinema does, you know, like this period pieces that it feels like someone sprays like orange everywhere, and like these curtains with this pattern. So we looked at a lot. There's like a great book that influenced me a lot. It's called But Beautiful by Jeff Dyer, which is I think the best book ever written about jazz. And there's a great end of 60s German magazine called Tven, that if you look up like photos from Tven, it like blows your mind. It's like kind of like what Vice magazine did here in the early aughts, but like for late 60s, it's really something.
Great. Okay, we have time for one or two more questions. Gentleman right at the back there.
Was the fourth wall, breaking the fourth wall, written into the script, or was that part of the improvisational process?
Nothing was improvised. That was his mind.
That was in the script? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think everything, like what we have, like I don't know how much we improvised. Yeah, a little bit, maybe, but not. No, the fourth world was written in it.
It
Yes.
was just, it was so refreshing to see that. It
Yeah.
just, it was surprising and refreshing and just brought it to an entirely different level.
It's so fun because it feels so forbidden as an actress. Like you're never allowed to look into the camera, and when you do it, you're like, I did it. It's very fun. It's very fun.
Okay, yes, sir, on the aisle right there.
To Ido, you made a decision in the Berlin sequence when he was performing to begin that passage with something that may be identical, but certainly very similar to readings of sacred book.